Greetings. Welcome. As many of you know, and some of you do not know, Chinook Fund is a foundation that seeds grassroots and progressive organizations that work towards social, racial, and economic justice. These organizations that fight the root causes of injustice in America and lead to long-lasting social change for human rights for all communities within Colorado. But who we give these grants to is only half the story. How we do our grant making is also a significant act of social change.
Creating change requires that the method by which we are working to deliver resources to those agents that are making change has to be just too. That the process that we use to deliver the grants, the decisions that we make about grants, has to be rooted in social justice. So the Giving Project is many things, but it's really a beautiful, innovative new model for democratizing philanthropy and for building the collective power of individuals and communities who want to make real movement in social change.
I'm Eric Ortiz, and a little bit about me. I'm a Colorado native. I want to be a part of making an impact in my community and truly make an impact at a grassroots level.
My name's Alyssa Valdez, Colorado native, born and raised. Along with my own personal experiences, just knowing, the challenges of being in a lower income family made me want to be more involved in changes that take place.
My name is Larita Cavness, and I am learning about the world of nonprofit organizations and fundraising. And this is one way to get experience with just how these campaigns are run, how to put one together, what being a collaborative means, and how it will affect the entire process.
At the introduction section, we're building community. Our group comes together for the first time. They're meeting each other. They're starting to share personal stories. Work that they're doing is really begins centered around their personal experiences and stories and sharing that, and coming to recognize that we all have a stake in this and we all have something to gain in collective liberation.
Sharing experiences with others engenders empathy and creates a shared common understanding and a common language and a common way to interact with one another. This was a space for me to come and open-minded and to think and to learn about other people that was such a gift that those other members of my cohort were giving me.
So the idea that I would do this with 15 strangers across class, across race was just a really powerful experience, and I definitely learned a lot about myself in the conversations.
At the Racial Justice and Class Analysis workshop, the group is coming together and really diving deep into issues of oppression. Folks are coming from all different backgrounds, and this is a place where they come together and make sure that we're all on the same page and developing that shared framework.
This cohort was so diverse that it was actually very enlightening to learn about the different perspectives, to hear different opinions, and to have our different life experiences shared and find out how they go into our decision making and how sharing those experiences helped us all to see things differently.
So I came to Chinook really because it focuses on constituent-led organizations and giving with nonprofits. It's a collaborative model that uses the community as a resource to ask, what do you need in this community? You're living here every day, you're experiencing this every day. You know what is lacking in this community.
Chinook Fund really focuses on funding organizations that aren't putting on a Band-Aid but are working on addressing structural oppression. It needs to have some sort of lasting impact, so not just affecting the individuals who are involved today, but that are working to build the collective power of their communities and building their capacity to become the next leaders. The ones that we fund have to be constituent-led, so led by the communities that are impacted by this specific area of social justice, and it needs to be serving the whole community and not leaving out folks who are oppressed in many categories. In the grantee panel, our group is coming together to meet face-to-face with past grantees of Chinook Fund.
We are so thankful to the Chinook Fund. They were one of our funders from the very beginning.
It's really nice to have a funder where we don't have to pretend that we're not radical. We don't have to pretend like we're not challenging power structures. It's really great to have Chinook Fund. I can't begin to tell you how much this grant means to us.
It totally just seemed like a fit for what I want to do. I want to do anti-oppression work, and specifically around race and class. And I also run a nonprofit, and so fundraising is a really important piece of that. And so it's both hits like the work that I want to do and like some of the skills and tactics that I need to learn to be able to do that.
From there, we go into our first fundraising training. Chinook Fund looks at fundraising as a form of community organizing. And so the way we do fundraising in the Giving Project is by setting up one-to-one meetings with our friends, our family, our coworkers, our folks in our community. And I meet with an individual and I talk about what social justice means to me and why it's important to me. And then I talk with a person about why I think it would matter to them. And then I invite them to join the work by supporting with a donation that would go to the pool that we use to grant out funds. At our grant making training, we spend another full day starting out, coming back together to talk about fundraising, and then we go into learning about Chinook's grant making process. That is a process that is over 30 years old and is based on consensus decision making. And then they actually walk out of that session with all of the grant applications that they'll be reviewing for that cycle.
When you look at 16, 17, 18 grant applications that are all focused around social justice and eliminating systemic oppression, but do it in very unique ways, that has been really fascinating and challenging again for me to knock off my own biases, right, of what I think is realm of like, well, is this really systemic change or is this long lasting? And so some of our conversations as a cohort have been, what is like long-term lasting effect really mean? I mean, there's just many modes of doing this type of work, and so I think that has opened my eyes, and it's been fascinating because there is a lot of great work going on out there.
As we come together at the screening application session, they decide which organizations that they're going to continue on with the next step, which is a site visit, and which organizations maybe don't fit the criteria.
I think I'm looking forward to the site visits in the respect that, what you read can be so different from what you actually see.
I'm excited to go see these places. I have never heard of these organizations. I didn't know they existed. I wish I'd known they'd existed. This is only 16 of them. But I'm really excited to go get to see these organizations that are doing amazing work, that are doing critical work.
Chinook Fund site visits are unique in that we have our criteria and we have our standards, but we're also recognizing these organizations who are applying for funding as partners and peers in this work, and listening to them and taking it as another opportunity to hear about their work directly from them in things that wouldn't necessarily come through in an application. After the site visits, they come back together for the final decisions meeting, where they again have discussion and use consensus to come to their final decisions about which organizations that they're going to allocate funding to.
This was my first time ever
participating in consensus-based decision making, which if you've never done that before, I encourage you all to try it. We talked about issues that are really taboo, like you're not supposed to talk about race, you're not supposed to talk about class, you're not supposed to talk about gender identity, you're not supposed to talk about religion. We talked about all of those things and more. The time that I've spent with the Giving Project really has helped me grow my community, and I'm hoping that I can do more after I'm done with the Giving Project. It was a lot of commitment. It was a lot of time, and now that we're getting towards the end, like, it feels so worth it.
I feel like I've grown a lot over the last 6 months, and over time, like, having the conversations that we've been having really starts to like tear at that veil of like how oppression works. I think these systems are set up and designed for us to feel a lot of shame and not talk about what's going on for us. And I guess I feel like I've learned when to speak up and how to speak up in a lot of ways. And I'm not perfect at that, but like how that's okay too.
I think it's so easy to lose faith and not understand why our world is still in the place that we are, even though we feel as though we've come so far in a sense. To be a part of the Chinook Fund and see these organizations that are doing amazing work, it sheds that light for you and, makes you excited to be able to share that light with other people.
I shared with the group how much of a home this has felt like for my soul and for the essence of the things I really care about and what I'm passionate about in working on in our society.
And it was just a very inspiring process, because I feel that I have grown as a grant writer, as a fundraiser, and as an individual. And I'm just so happy that I took part in it, and I'm happy that I can take these skills into the next things that I do.
I would just reinforce and restate how much it feels like a building of a community. And I'm excited to see how that grows and gets bigger and bigger and bigger.